Thank you for listening to Pow Block Podcast, the flagship Nintendo podcast of Boss Rush Network. Do you need even more gaming and entertainment in your life? Head over to bossrush.net where you can find news, reviews, creators, podcasts, and more focused around the content you enjoy.
Hello everybody, welcome to Nintendo Pow Block here on Boss Rush Games. I'm your host, the enlightened and excited Eddie V. Joining me is the devastating Dungeoneer, Mr. David Laxby.
Hey everybody.
The gallivanting Galatrad himself, Mr. Jacob Taylor.
Hey Ed, do you know why Darunia tried to fight Volvagia by himself?
No, why?
Because Link told him to Goron without him.
Oh.
Yeah! It's here. My intro.
He's deceased.
Oh goodness, that was a good one. Oh.
You're getting bolder with those jokes.
Oh, yes!
And our special guest from Game Rant, the vivacious vegan video gamer himself, Mr. Greysun Morales.
Hey, how's it going? I don't have a corny joke for you, but I'm here.
Hello, everybody at Boss Rush loves you. Welcome back, Greysun.
Thank you.
How was everybody's weekend? I had a weekend. David, how was your weekend?
I had a great weekend. It's the last little bit of summer before school starts for me teaching, and so I played a lot of Aliens Fireteam Elite, and
yes,
it was good. So.
Yes. What about you, Greysun? How was your weekend?
Well, Saturday was pretty much stay at home and clean the house kind of day. But yesterday was actually pretty cool because my partner and we went to get a couples massage. And I've never had like a professional massage before, so that was so nice. It was super relaxing. And we went to Fort Collins, which is this area in Colorado, which I've never been to. We went to like this old town area with like coffee shops and like, cute little thrift stores and all that kind of stuff. So it was nice. Very, very relaxing weekend.
Wow. There's a certain picture that I came with for Snacktendo to talk to you about because me and Craig was waft modeling over it. So Jacob, how was your weekend?
My weekend was busy. I worked overtime on Saturday, then came home and still trying to finish up fixing the hole in my floor. It's just been taking a lot of time because it's a large square space of area, and so it takes more than one person to like cut out the whole thing because if you haven't messed with it before, but flooring is really heavy. That not just like the tile flooring on top, but the actual like wood flooring. And then Sunday I did Minecraft. I played games. I did Minecraft stream that I usually do on Sunday, and then I've been playing a lot of Pokemon, so did that.
Oh, nice. For me, outside of work, because I really had a busy weekend, I got to go to a rehearsal at a Jewish church that I'll be doing later on in September. This is going to be my second time doing this event with them, and I truly enjoyed it. I actually got to play Aliens Fireteam with David. Had a blast. I was so happy because me and David were just hyped for this game, and it delivered. It truly delivered. And I picked up No More Heroes 3. Hint, hint. We'll leave that at that. And there's some other games that I actually got to play too, but we'll talk about that. We're playing with power. But everybody, we're gonna get into Snacktendo. Greysun, as our special guest, start us off. What have you been snacking off? And please let the audience know about a certain picture that you posted.
Okay. So that's from Trader Joe's. So yeah, we went to Trader Joe's a few days ago. And not only did we get that you're talking about, but I got a few other things that are just delicious. But so I've been eating this. It's cold brew coffee and boba coconut non-dairy dessert. So like just like a vegan ice cream. It's so good. It's creamy. The boba, because I really like milk tea. So I was like, I was weird about like the boba being frozen, but it actually like it doesn't melt in your mouth, but it's not as hard as like the ice cream. so it's still pretty chewy, and you're chewing the boba, and you get the ice cream, and it's really good, especially for like a vegan ice cream, which I usually just get like regular ice cream. But I heard about this through TikTok, so I had to get it. So I've been snacking on that, and then I also got like these peanut butter chocolate cookies from Trader Joe's. I don't know exactly what they were like titled, but those are really good as well. And yeah, that was pretty much it. The best things.
So, pardon my unculturedness. Boba, isn't that those little balls that are served in tea?
Oh yeah. So those are the tapioca pearls that you'll find in like the milk tea places.
So this was ice cream with like how they would put like nuts and stuff, but it would be boba. Okay.
So the pearls are like built into the ice cream itself. So like every bite you'll have like a pearl or two in there.
Okay.
That sounds delicious.
It's so good. So if anyone goes to Trader Joe's, pick that up. They have such good. Every time I go to Trader Joe's, it's like I just want to buy everything. So good.
Jacob, what have you been snacking on?
So I was late to work today. And the big thing in my office is that if you're late, you're not late because you just brought breakfast for everybody. So I stopped and picked up apple cider mini donuts. And these things were so good. They tasted like you were drinking an apple cider, to the point where like I picked up 2 boxes of them and they were gone before noon. Basically, there was only a couple left before noon. And one of my bosses, throughout the entire, like every time you'd heard him walking around, he'd be like, "I can't wrap my mind around how they taste like apple cider, but it's a donut." And it's like, oh, they were so good. They were just like just the standard. If you walk into a Walmart, they're like, know how they always have like those bakery trays, shelving things? It was just right off of there, apple cider mini donuts, and they are delicious. They're really moist. You kind of look at them and they look like they'd be really just like dry, but they were super moist and just so good. It was hard not to eat more than 3 of them.
Yes, the fall donuts are rolling in, and I love them so much. David, what have you been snacking on?
Well, I'm just still thinking about apple cider now. You know, for everybody that loves pumpkin spice when it comes to fall, for me, apple cider is like the thing that I love drinking, in the fall. And if, I'm working or something, I'll get like a caramel apple cider at Starbucks. But if it's the weekend, I like making a whiskey cider smash. And that
I so much want to taste that so bad.
It's so good. Yeah, we have a lot of great whiskey companies out in the Seattle area, so I can usually get some, local mix. Now I'm thinking I might need to do that this weekend, but that's another story. So for me, I tried a new ice cream bar this week, which, I love, like chocolate and nut covered ice cream bars. Of course, being vegan, there's not always great selection, but Daya, I don't know how you pronounce it, but they're a pretty well-known company. They have this coconut milk-based one that I was kind of skeptical. I tried it, and it was great. So that was kind of fun because I haven't had a chocolate-covered ice cream bar since I was like a kid. So it was great.
All right. Nice. Well, for me, everybody, if you have tuned in to my post, I kind of went to Target, and I missed last week's episode. Once again,
we missed you, Ed.
I was working with Bowser, his castle. He loved the renovations I did last time, so had to add more. While shopping at Target, ready, looking for some new snacks, to be like, oh, okay, I'm gonna find something. And I see at this end cap, something really caught my eye, and I'm just like, I have to get this. Everybody, I have tried the 1-2-3 Sesame Street cereal.
What?
I did not think you were gonna go there.
Yes.
Okay.
I have a post on it on my Twitter page with the box as a picture, and you have to read the caption. It will kind of make you laugh. And it's a berry flavor, and eating it reminds me of the berry Captain Crunch. With a really
crunch
nice
berries.
Yes. Yes, with a nice aftertaste. Like, it was really smooth. I'm like, ooh, this is really good. Like, I'm amazed that this kind of like educational cereal, because it's a big white box that had 1, 2, 3, and it have Muppet. I mean, not Muppet Babies. It has Sesame Street characters on it, and I was just like, I have to get this. I know I'm going to get ridiculed, but sunny days, I'm grab the box and skip my tail to the line. Well, I actually came back because I got another box of like Honey Graham cereals, and then I skipped my tail to the line to go.
Wow.
And it's really, really good. Surprisingly, if anyone who likes like berry flavored cereals, and it's really good for kids. You know, if they want to be entertained and everything, it's a really nice box to have. So I definitely enjoyed it. So that is my Snacktendo. And everybody.
Well, I don't think I've ever heard the term educational cereal before, Ed. That's a new one.
Instead of
do you
educational
like
game.
play it while you play, or do you eat it while you play Mario is Missing? Is that the idea there? Is that
It's a whole component.
That's too much education. You're getting computer level smart.
You
at that
know
point.
what's funny? I have eaten food that has like in the morning that has helped me like get some energy stuff, and I have went into playing a video game. I have done it with Zelda. I have done it with Bayonetta. I have even done it with Mega Man. Like like something it touches my mind, it refreshes me, and be like, okay, now I could think and do this puzzle. So yeah, educational food. Yeah, I mean it's because it has letters and numbers, so kids are reading it and stuff. You know, it's kind of like the soup, the Chef Boyardee with the alphabet soup.
Have y'all heard that joke where it's like, I got alphabet soup, but all it says is ooh. Cheerios. Real quick, Ed, before we move on, for those of y'all listening, please join us live, twitch.tv/Boss Network. Wanted to shout out somebody in the chat. Rebellity says, I don't have a snack, but pumpkin cream cold brew is back. So we're getting into that pumpkin spice latte season again. It's wonderful. Weather's coming down. It's so nice.
All right. Well, everybody, we're going to get into Game Fact events. And I got the Game Fact events for you guys. And it's about the video game Kung Fu. And this was released in 1985 on the NES. And these are just some things that you guys are going to really be surprised about that I was surprised. So the game was developed by IRIM and published by Data East. Now, why that is important to say is because Data East and IRIM are both publishing companies back in the 80s. So when it came out Data East published it here in America, and IRIM did it just developed the game. So but when it came to the NES, Nintendo kind of did the port for it for this game. So they didn't publish the game in America. They just did the port for it, but it's under the black box of the Nintendo when they first came out. It is the first beat 'em up game that started you traveling left, and it's kind of the first beat 'em up game in the genre before Double Dragon and things like that. So when you start Kung Fu, you start from the left. It comes from a movie called Spartan X in Japan, with Jackie Chan being the main character named Thomas. Your character is named Thomas, and the girl that you're saving is called Sylvia, which is the same girl in the movie of the same name. It sold 3.5 million copies, which outperformed Mike Tyson Punch-Out and Metroid. It was the 13th best-selling NES game in 1985. There was a sequel that was released in Japan for the Famicom, but not in America. And this is really what is going to be very interesting to you guys. Kung Fu Master, which was the name of the game when it came to America, was a influential game that had a significant cultural impact. It is regarded as the first beat 'em up brawler and an early example of the side-scrolling character action genre, which became popular during the mid to late 1980s. Miyamoto worked on the NES port, inspired his development on the side-scrolling platform game Super Mario Brothers, while Takashi Nishiyama was hired by Capcom, where he used to use the game's boss battles as the basis for the fighting game Street Fighter in 1987, before working for SNK on fighting games such as Fatal Fury and The King of Fighters. Kung Fu Master also influenced other media such as Red Ribbon Army Saga, of the manga and anime series, and Dragon Ball, as well as the French film Kung Fu Master in 1988. And the last thing, Koji Kondo did the music for the NES port of Kung Fu.
This is like a weird all-star cast of people and ideas that I've never heard of before.
Yes. So, if you go online, you can watch a full playthrough. If you're really good, you can beat Kung Fu within 5 minutes.
Wow.
Yes, it does have it has a loop kind of gameplay. So once you save it, you can play the again to get the final ending, but it still loops again. So that has been your Game Fact events. I was shocked that it beat out Metroid and Mike Tyson Punch Out.
That's crazy.
So, well, everybody, it's time for Femi News. David, take it away.
All right. Well, thank you, Ed. So Nintendo Switch game Fitness Boxing enters the ring with TV anime adaptation. So this is from Liam Dempsey at Funimation.com. Quote, ding, ding, ding. That's right. Nintendo Switch game Fitness Boxing will be making the switch to anime with a series of animated comedy shorts about the daily lives of its instructor characters. The anime will air weekly for 12 5-minute episodes starting on October 1 in Japan. The game's original voice cast, which features many anime heavy hitters, will reprise their role for the adaptation. So, panel, reactions to this story. Do you think this trend will continue, and what other Nintendo games do you think would make for good anime series? So, Ed, I got to get your reaction to this. What is going on? Why is this a show?
I love this. So in general, everybody, sports anime has been a big thing, and getting these shorts and everything, it's just going to make more people want to play the game. If it's like really good, it's very comedic, and they do it right, people are going to rush out to get this game to see what it's really all about. I'm excited about this because when I seen Star Fox Zero, when they did that anime before the game came out, I was just like, oh, I want a Star Fox TV series. Like, when the old Legend of Zelda had some kind of anime inspired shorts back in the 80s that never came to America, but I think you can find them on YouTube. That was just like, wow, I didn't know Nintendo did this for a lot of their games. So for me, I definitely would like to get Star Fox and Fighting Spirit, which is a boxing anime that I own. Is just, oh, I love sports anime, and I hope this one is successful. But yeah, Star Fox anime, give it to me, or give me like a Mario Kart or even a Smash that was done like the Laugh Olympics, when it was different Hanna-Barbera cartoons come together.
Oh man,
like I would love to see an anime with just different cartoons from the Nintendo universe coming together to compete, and it'd be straight comedic.
Wow, boy, Hanna-Barbera cartoons, that brings me back. Nintendo recently, I believe, did some cartoon shorts for Animal Crossing as well. Greysun, how successful do you think this particular show will be? And are there any other shows that are any other Nintendo franchises that you think might be a good switch over to anime?
As far as like other anime, I think a Kid Icarus show could be really cool. I think with Uprising, Nintendo showed like they do a really good job with like animated cutscenes, because that game has like so many cutscenes that can just be translated into like a short mini series or something. And I also think just like a Fire Emblem, specifically like a Three Houses style TV show.
Yeah,
crazy.
Yes.
Like I feel like that show wouldn't even need to have that much action, just like have these relationships with the characters, and like totally. One episode could be about one of the houses, another one could be about a different house, what they're doing, and I think that'll be really, really cool. Is this gonna be successful? At first, I was thinking no, but when Ed brought up the sports anime thing, and like Haikyuu and Yuri on Ice are like some of the most popular anime, sports anime. So I mean, I feel like this can get an audience that's not even fans of the game, and I'm sure most of the audience is not going to be fans of that game because I don't know if that game is successful. I don't know how many copies it sold, but obviously someone thinks it's going to be a great show. So I'm down to watch it, check it out. It's even if it's not like a Nintendo IP that I love, I think it'll still be cool to see how a Nintendo. Wait, are they like producing it, or is it just like someone's making an anime
I think
IP?
I believe it's licensed out, but I could be wrong on that. I'd have to double check. I do wonder sometimes though who's pulling the strings at Nintendo with like the stuff that gets sent to NES Online or turned into like how do they select these particular IPs? Jacob Greysun mentioned Fire Emblem Three Houses, which was going to be the one that I was going to bring up. I think that the drama there is just perfect. Yeah. Any other IPs that you think could make a great switch over to anime?
Yeah, so a lot of the reactions that I've seen online that I absolutely agree with is a Legend of Zelda anime in the style of, if you remember Palutena's announcement trailer for Smash Brothers, where Link was fighting Pit. That art style would be so good for a Legend of Zelda anime, and they wouldn't even have to they could be silly with it and have fun with it and still have to tell like a serious story. I also weirdly hope that they do crossover in this anime with Ring Fit Adventure. I hope that they don't keep it just
yes.
I hope one episode is like the Ring comes into town and they're all like getting shown up by Drago or something. I don't know.
Can we get the Wii trainer in there as well?
Yes, right? Like there's so many good potentials for that. But I mean, like, there's the obvious choices, right? Like Legend of Zelda, Kid Icarus, Fire Emblem, Metroid would be a great anime.
Oh, yes.
And then they did a movie of Animal Crossing in Japan, and that was super cute. So, like, any of those slice of life style games as well. I think I mentioned it last week or maybe 2 weeks ago during our bosses talk, but Chibi Robo would be a really good one.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that'd be a nice animation.
Yep.
Yeah.
And like Zelda, from our Twitch chat live, Rebelli is saying Zelda has a manga already, so why not an anime? Like it's already there. Your idea is already there. Just make it into moving pictures.
My dream for Legend of Zelda would be a Castlevania style anime, and I know that would be too dark and gritty. But even if you just made it slightly less mature, and like Twilight Princess would be just work perfect.
Metroid would not be out of the realm of being too gritty for a Castlevania style anime.
Oh,
like imagine Samus blowing space pirates away.
Blood splattering against the wall.
Yeah.
So that is great, but you gotta make sure that the choreography for the fight scenes are top notch, because that's what's going to make that show memorable. I'm down for a Metroid anime. You gotta make sure that is just top notch.
And yes, absolutely, Ed. And unless we forget the longest running anime series of all time, Pokemon. So they could continue with that. They're already doing great in that regard. So
I mean, and plus, we already got Donkey Kong and Kirby, so we don't need those two.
Oh, I miss Kirby right back at you.
I will say that with so many different platforms providing the opportunity now, we don't have as much gatekeeping, with what gets produced. And so I do think these things are more of a possibility. One other one I'll quickly throw out there that I would totally be down to watch is a Smash Brothers anime with all the crossover characters. I mean, I think you could do a lot of fun stuff with that. So, all right, well, let's go ahead and check out our next story. So speaking of Pokemon TV app is now live on Switch. So nice little lead in there. This is directly from Nintendo, Nintendo.com. Pokemon TV is a fun way to watch all sorts of great Pokemon programming. Enjoy the adventures of Ash, Pikachu, and their friends, along with animated specials and highlights of Pokemon Championship tournaments. Hours upon hours of Pokemon fun. Find loads of great Pokemon content to watch in one convenient place. Hundreds of episodes, including full seasons, animated specials, and thrilling Pokemon trading card game and video game competitions. Content changes periodically. There's also fun videos for little Pokemon fans. The junior category includes videos to entertain younger trainers. Kids can join in with sing-alongs, hear popular nursery rhymes, and more. The Pokemon TV app is a great way for fans to enjoy their episodes and relive incredible battles from championship competitions. So, for consideration, are you excited about this news? How big of a deal is it for Nintendo to have this app? And why hasn't Nintendo been able to bring other major streaming services to the Switch? So, Greysun, I'll get your input on this first. What do you think about this? How big is this Pokemon app going to be? And does Nintendo need to bring other services eventually? Where are you at with this?
Yeah, I think this is a great decision from Nintendo. I mean, there are 2 big Pokemon games coming out soon, so I don't think it hurts them putting out an app that introduces a bunch of people to like the Pokemon brand. So that's awesome. And especially since there's not a lot of like video apps besides like YouTube and I think Hulu maybe on the Switch, this is a great app for children in general because, you have like the YouTube Kids thing, but, sometimes there's sketchy stuff on that website. So if you can give a kid like, oh, here, have the Pokemon app, there's be a bunch of videos they can watch and be entertained for like hours and hours without parents having to worry about them seeing like random videos and stuff. I think it's a cool move. I'm kind of just baffled as to why we still don't have like things like Netflix and Apple TV and all this stuff. I just think Nintendo maybe still views this as like mostly a portable console, so they're not treating it as like the same regards as like an actual home console. That's what I think. I just have no idea why it's not. It seems like an easy thing to me, but maybe it's more complicated. I don't know.
Yeah, it certainly seems like a missed opportunity for Nintendo. Not that they need me to tell them how to run their business. They're certainly,
they're doing
making tons of money, right?
Yeah.
But Hulu's on there. You have a chance to compete with the mobile market in a way by having these other apps on there. It just, Ed, I know that you use your Switch to listen to music a lot as like a music streaming device. What's your reaction to this story?
So, I was kind of shocked because I like did the Pokemon company say anything about this, that it was coming?
Because it's just like dropped.
Yeah, because it was like on the eShop. I'm like, oh, free download Pokemon, and I actually think it's cool that it's kind of an app to help people get into the Pokemon series and be able to watch some of the cartoons and learn tricks and stuff. It was just really cool that they did it. And now, as for the apps coming to Switch from different places, I think it's up to them, the companies, to submit it to Nintendo, because Nintendo has been like Disney Plus was supposed to be on Nintendo on Switch, but Disney's not bringing it yet. They're saying they were working on it. That like Nintendo was waiting. This is the funny thing, because Sony bought Funimation, and Funimation is on not Crackle, Crunchyroll. Crunchyroll is on Switch, and Sony owns that.
Yeah.
So it's just like Crunchyroll is on it. So I think it's up to all the other places, because with Nintendo knowing that Sony owns it, Nintendo would be like, no, we don't want no third party stuff owned by our competitors or other business on it. No, Nintendo's just like, yeah, come on through, put your stuff on and let's go. So I think it's up to like Netflix and Disney and even Paramount Plus and stuff like that, HBO Max and everything. I think it's up to them to see if they can get certified on Nintendo's platform, because trust me, HBO Max literally on Nintendo Switch, everybody's gonna.
I would love that.
The subscription is going to jump. You be in the bathroom taking a nice bath while watching Spirited Away.
Thank you for saying bath.
But I'm serious. I mean, some people still watch movies and stuff and everything, or they're gonna pop something on a board by taking a bath. And why not do it on Switch? Why not watch RuPaul Drag Race on Paramount Plus or VH1 or whatever, and while taking a bath or whatever, or cooking and stuff? I think these companies just got to bring something to Nintendo and try and do wherever you can to get certified to put it on the platform.
Ed, you were dropping some great visuals there. I'm just glad you said bath because we know the truth about where most of America uses their Switch. But Jacob, I want to pivot over to you as somebody who's intimately into the tech world all day long. Is there anything that's really standing in Nintendo's way on their device to get these apps on Switch? And what's your reaction to these stories?
No, there's nothing that's standing in their way to get them on. That's just a software thing. And if Hulu or YouTube or Crunchyroll weren't already on there, then maybe. But clearly they are, and so that means there's no lock. I have a theory that Netflix had a deal with them when they promoted Dark Crystal at that one E3 event, and then they if you remember, they shut up about it. They really never mentioned it again, and I'm pretty sure Netflix was like, "What the heck?" and decided, well, they're fine. You don't get Netflix on your system anymore, and they're just kind of angry about that. But as far as what else would be stopping them, I really don't know why. I have no clue why, because it makes so much sense to put whatever streaming service you can get onto that system.
Yeah.
Even I forget. I think it's called Shudder, the horror streaming service.
Yeah.
Like that. Mm-hmm. They've got horror games. There's always a good reason. I was cracking up with Ed because oh man. I just the idea of having technology in the bath or around the bath freaks me out, but then watching certain things on it would just be I don't think you're taking a bath at that point. But yeah, but no, yeah, that's my theory. I think Netflix is just kind of hurt by the Nintendo and trying to prove a point. I will say what's interesting to me is the weird intermingling now of all of the companies. So Sony has stuff on Switch, Microsoft has stuff on Switch, and they, PlayStation and Microsoft both have things on each other's consoles, but then Nintendo doesn't have anything on their consoles. There's
They're still Nintendo.
Yeah, there's still close the door, but they'll let people in, but it's a one-way door.
I'm telling you all, Nintendo is so petty. You're always speaking up on their behalf, Ed, but Nintendo is crazy petty. All right. Well, speaking of petty Nintendo, let's go on to this next story here. So this is from Ben Lamoro at NintendoEnthusiast.com. So fan-made Metroid Prime 2D has been shut down in its current form. For the past few years, a talented team of Metroid fans has been hard at work on reimagining a Nintendo classic. Metroid Prime famously took the series into 3D. But this fan-made project aimed to reimagine the world of Talon 4 with more traditional gameplay. Back in April, they released a playable demo, and Metroid Prime 2D was exactly as advertised. The ambitious project made waves, attracting the attention of large gaming outlets and popular Metroid streamers, and it seems it caught Nintendo's eye too. In a lengthy post to the members of the group's Discord, Troid92 confirmed what some members had feared. Development on Metroid Prime 2D, at least in its current form, has come to an end. At the request of, quote, a certain games-related company, end quote, the team has removed the demo download as well as the soundtrack MP3 download. They apparently remain in dialogue with the unnamed company about how best to proceed for both parties. While Nintendo is not directly named, the implication seems pretty clear. Other games that received the ban hammer from Nintendo in the past have resurfaced with new names and more original assets, and it seems like Metroid Prime 2D team may be hoping for more of the same. All right, team, what's your reactions, and what other 3D games would you like to see a demake of or a 2D version? Jacob, as our passionate Metroid fan here, I want to get your take on this first.
So I actually just had a thought while you were talking. What if the reason that they asked... So the last time this happened, it was AM2R, right? And then they released Metroid Samus Returns. I think it was a couple years after the AM2R takedown. What if Metroid Prime 4... has 2D sections where the camera pans and you have to go do classic style 2D Metroid stuff, because this is based off of the Prime games. Or it could just be that they're like, hey, no, we have Metroid Dread coming out. Y'all can't be releasing a free-to-play Metroid game that's like going to be as good as or better, possibly, I don't know, than Metroid Dread. But that thought process, that thought really intrigues me, is that they might just do, because I feel like there's been other projects that they haven't banned because they just had, there's just like with dead IPs, and they're like, we don't care about this anymore. We're not doing anything, which we'll get to that in a little bit in a future story. But no, I have to think that they have a reason for it. I don't think that they're, as petty as they are, I don't think that they're so petty that if it doesn't affect them financially or as a business, they won't seek action. But as far as 3D games go, I'd really like to see oh, my brain just went blank.
It's a first party game.
Yeah. Come back to me. Come back to me.
Yeah, I will.
My brain
Is it from the Mario
died.
series?
No, it's.
Well, we'll come back to
yeah.
you, Jacob. Just give me a wave when you're ready. I will say that's an interesting point that you bring up about a possible 2D section in the next Metroid Prime game, and certainly Mario Odyssey gives us a template for how that might happen. So that's an interesting idea. Greysun, what do you think about this story, and are there any other 3D games that you'd like to see a remake of?
Yeah, I don't know why. I feel like this is like pretty expected of Nintendo at this point. It's just like they're just taking down everything. They're so protective of their IP, and they don't want anyone doing anything with any characters. And yeah, they're probably like especially on high alert because Metroid is coming out. But like I feel like these indie developers should probably just like make the game, but don't make it Samus. Don't make it Metroid. Just make Axiom Verge, how that. Anyways, but yeah, and as far as like franchises, I would like to see in 2D. This is a hard one. I was actually thinking of like Super Mario World, like a 2D game translated to a 3D game would be interesting. Almost like we're releasing this weird, different version of 3D World, or like you're exploring like I forget what it's called, donut plains, and like these are different areas and stuff. I think something like that could be cool, like making a 2D Mario game into 3D.
That would be awesome. Super Mario World is one of my all-time favorite games, so that would be great. Jacob, did I see correctly that you remembered, or you still think it?
I remember.
Go for it.
It's Star Fox Adventures. We were talking Star Fox earlier. I'd love for Star Fox to come back and in a new style, because they've done the 3D with everything. That's kind of how it was based. So I'd love for them to take a 2D approach on it, and I think Star Fox Adventures would be a great way for them to do that.
Yeah, because they could fix that broken game.
They could make it. It's not broken. It's a masterpiece. What are you talking about? They could make it more like a Metroidvania style game, or they could just go like Adventures of Link type of way, where they have an overworld map, and then you have like combat sections where you do side scrolling stuff.
All right, Ed, what about you? In the past, we've certainly talked a lot about these stories here on Pow Block, but this is a scenario where they weren't actually making money off the IP. So does that make you pause at all in terms of Nintendo's response? And then also the same question: any games that you'd like to see a remake of?
So you kind of got to factor in retro, because retro studios made Metroid Prime. And when Metroid Prime 2 came out, you did have a 2D section, but you were in the Morph Ball with it. So I think with them trying to recreate the Metroid Prime and put it into a 2D mode, it's going to be hard to do that, because that game is big in 3D, and I don't think the 2D would capture the same spirit of that Prime game. I understand you're trying to make it into 2D, but then it just becomes a basic Metroid game at that point, where Prime had a lot going on and did something different. You won't be able to strafe like you do with that game. You won't be able to do lock on or read the stories.
But that's not a reason to pull it, though. I mean,
I mean, pulling it as it. I think pulling it as in. Of course, this is somebody IP. Nintendo don't play around with their IPs, but you still go ahead and do it. Once again, like I said, if Nintendo's gonna do this stuff, do somebody else's IP. Literally,
maybe Nintendo shouldn't wait like 8 years to make a Metroid game.
But then that's the same thing if you say for Sony and stuff. What if I was waiting for Warhawk to come out? No one is doing anything from that for Sony. So why you don't make a Warhawk game that Sony is not doing? Like I think it's, before I get into my D-Mix, is once again the thing about it's just, I know the popularity of Nintendo's IPs. You shouldn't have to wait on them making a game for it. Because if you are not waiting to do anybody else's of the other first party games, why are you trying to do something for Nintendo property? Go make that next Warhawk. Go make that next project got the racing or something. Do something when the other companies are not using their franchises. You know, if they're not messing with you in or anything, because like there's tons of Sega stuff, Sonic games, and Sega don't care as long as you don't make no money for it. They go make a Sonic game.
But Ed, we know that Nintendo IPs are better, so we just. What are your D-Makes, Ed?
As for D-Makes, Codename Steam, I would love to see. I would love to see. There was one of them that you were a ghost, and you was taking over people's bodies to get through the level. I cannot think of it. It was a GameCube game, and I always talk about it, but I have to think about it. It's a first person game. I kind of would like to see what they would do with an Eternal Dark kind of game, because you go to different areas, but then you start like your next level base is started up something like almost like ActRaiser in the sense you move around, but you go into this area and that next level starts where you're in 2D and everything. I could see that game being done. I think last but not least, I gotta go. This might be telling my old self. I kind of would like to see, Gyromite was in. I thought they did a 3D version of Gyromite. No, they didn't. Goodness, what is that game? Can I think of it? I would like to see Pikmin. I'm gonna say Pikmin. I would love to see that as a 2D. Even though they did do a Pikmin 2D,
we don't talk about that.
Yeah.
Yes, you know what, Ed? That a Pikmin 2D reminds me a lot. Did you ever play the game Lemmings?
Yes.
That seems like a similar kind of idea there. Maybe I'm wrong, but I missed that game.
Yeah, I thought that they did a new limb. No, they didn't do a new limbs.
Ed, were you talking about Geist earlier?
Yes, Geist.
Okay, I was like, It was. I kept thinking about it. Yeah, that was it.
we saw the deep cut from Ed there.
Yeah, Geist. That would be one, because it used to be able to take over soldiers and dogs and cans and stuff like that. It needs to be a crazy idea, but that was a first party game that came from Nintendo, and I'm like, oh, I would love to see this. If Rare was still with them, I would love to see another Jet Set Gemini.
Oh man, I forgot about that one too.
Yeah, I would love to see that as a 2D, like 3-player shoot 'em up.
You mean
game.
Jet Force Gemini?
Jet Force, yeah.
Gemini, dang, Jet Set.
You're thinking Jet Set Radio.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like Ground Radio.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great list there, Ed. I think for me, in terms of D-Makes, this will never happen, but it's what I want. I want Breath of the Wild demade into Link to the Past style top-down graphics, and those artistic renderings that people have done circle the internet periodically, and every time I see them, I save them on my phone just because I love that era of Nintendo graphics, and it'd be so fun to see Guardian Stalkers and stuff in that 16-bit style top-down game. So that would be my preference. So
that would be so huge. I'd be like, don't even put it on the cart. Just release the digital download, because the game would be huge.
I mean, Nintendo, they had that test run for Breath of the Wild in the original Zelda graphics. That was like part of their in-house, experimenting. Yes. I mean, at minimum, just give us that, right? I think that would be great. Jacob, is there, before I move on to the next story, did anybody from the chat, I don't have in front of me, any D-Make ideas?
Yeah, Rebellity saying she agrees with Jet Force Gemini, and then also that Breath of the Wild would be a good one. And I think
there we go.
We saw a couple of like they talked about how they kind of did that, right, with the original. They styled it after the original Zelda. So that's pretty cool.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, chat. Well, here's our final story of Family News today. Nintendo shuts down Riptide Project Plus tournament. So this is from Andre Aquino at Gen X TV. Riptide was contacted recently by a Nintendo of America Inc. representative regarding our Project Plus events. As a result of that conversation, there will be no Project Plus tournaments or setups at Riptide, the statement reads. Project Plus, an updated Project M mod, aims to fix certain issues players have with Super Smash Bros. Brawl, making it more similar to Melee in terms of movement and speed in the game. The new mod started development in 2018 with a 1.0 version released in 2019 and a 2.0 update in 2020, adding new character moves and even Knuckles as a playable character. Ever since the release of Project M, Nintendo has been seemingly active in trying to mess with the scene, with statements from TOs pitting the blame on the company for the game's demise. On top of this, the recent precedent of the company forcing the Big House to cancel its online tournament back in December due to the usage of third-party tools like Slippy, it seems they're ready to shut down any events that tamper with their titles. Unlike the Big House, Riptide's other events will go on as planned, including brackets for Ultimate, Melee, Rivals of Aether, and even Splatoon 2. The tournament is still scheduled to happen this coming September 10 in Kalahari Resort in Sandusky, Ohio. All right, so obviously this is not a new story here with Nintendo interfering, so we're going to steer away from just focusing on that, but I'm wondering, we've all agreed that Nintendo has the right to protect its IPs. Why not release like a Smash Bros. Builder or some other option that lets people customize and modify the fighting in the game to their heart's content? Is there any kind of happy medium or something that we could see Nintendo doing here to sort of fix this problem rather than just getting the bad publicity of shutting these things down? Ed, I'm going to come back to you. I know you got lots of opinions on it. Let's start with Jacob on this one, and we'll end with you, Ed.
Yeah, there probably is. There's probably a ton of things that Nintendo could do to kind of meet them in the middle, but that's not Nintendo's responsibility. I share a lot of Ed's opinions on this, in that, and I hate to say it because I'm such a huge Nintendo fanboy. I've my house is filled with Nintendo stuff. I buy all of their things. They own my wallet, basically, but they're not my friend. They're a business. They owe me nothing. All they are there for is to make money, and the fact that they make money doing something that brings me enjoyment, that's great. But if they decide not to anymore, then that's their decision. But yeah, I mean, they could. I don't think a Smash Bros. Creator would or like a Smash Bros. Maker would do anything well, but they. So there's a lot of talk that I've seen around this that involve like, oh, well, a lot of games get modded, right? Like Fallout. Bethesda's known really well for like embracing their modding scenes to the point of where they like helped Xbox create a way to put mods onto console versions of the game. But again, that was just a business decision by Bethesda as a company, and Nintendo made the opposite decision, and they have every right to do so. Sakurai's famous for talking about how Smash is not a competitive game, it's a party game, and the Smash scene, I don't know why, it's like they keep bashing their head against the wall trying to argue with the people who made the game. Like, they wouldn't have the game that they love if it wasn't made.
But Jacob, if it is a party game, isn't that even more of an argument for opening it up and letting people have more control with some sort of builder game?
No, not at all. They made the game they wanted. They made the game they wanted to make, man. Like it's if it inspires you to go out and learn game development and make your own fighting game, great. Like I think Brawlhalla, and I know for sure. I'll boot up my Switch. But there was another game that came out like before Smash Ultimate came out on the Switch that directly said like, hey, we made this game because Brawl Out came, and the developers were like, we love Smash Brothers. We're trying to make our own version of Smash Brothers. It's not that great. It's not that good of a game. But they tried, and like that's something that you could do. They had their own original characters. They made it the way they wanted it to be. And if you want to do this, so you mentioned it in the story, but the key problem was that it's The reason it got focus is because it's at a big event. If this was just like some friends playing it, they're not going to shut that down. They're not. You can still download Project Plus off the internet. You can download the mod for your own Smash. They're not shutting the mod down. They're shutting down the publicity of this mod because, again, it's a business decision. This mod will make people go, oh, look, I can boot up Brawl and have like new cool stuff instead of buying Smash Brothers Ultimate. Great. And therefore Nintendo loses money.
Well, Greysun, we know that Super Mario Maker is really successful. People have been clamoring for a Zelda Dungeon Maker for a while. Do you think something like a Smash Maker would be successful? Is that something we'll never ever see from Nintendo? What are your thoughts on this story?
Yeah, I'm with Jacob there, where I don't think Nintendo will be doing that. Just because they do just consider it a party game. I think if they considered it a fighting game, they would maybe put more effort into. I mean, I don't know, because they're like popular fighting games like Street Fighter and stuff. I feel like I don't think they let you like alter that many things with the combat. So I don't know. It's just like I don't think Nintendo's that kind of company to give players so much variety in like the gameplay. I feel like what Nintendo makes, that's what you get. And what Jacob was saying earlier with the whole show thing, it's like having that mod there and showing it off and having it on Twitch and YouTube and whatever, it's almost like a misrepresentation of that IP. Because like people will see that stream and they see Knuckles fighting against, think of a Tracer from Overwatch or something. It's like people will see that, and a lot of people think that's real. A lot of people will think that's in Smash Bros. Because they don't know what a mod is or like what that means. So I think that's also like there's an issue Nintendo might have. It's like, hey, you're showing off our game and it's not representing what the game actually is. So I totally get that when it comes to that. But it does suck, when people just want to have a tournament or whatever it is and have fun. But I just don't think it's cool to show off. To play a mod like that and show off to so many people.
So we're gonna get to Ed in a minute, but Jacob, you had one more, real quick.
I did, yeah. Sorry. Oh my God, Greysun just blew my mind with that. What's the tagline for Smash Ultimate?
Everyone
is here. If some kid sees Knuckles on Brawl and they're like, oh, I can play Knuckles because everyone is here in Smash Ultimate and Knuckles isn't in Smash Ultimate, what does that mean? Like that, oh my God, that blew my mind. That was wonderful, Greysun.
Yeah.
All right, Ed, lay it on us.
Okay, so everybody knows how I feel about mods and people taking Nintendo IPs and doing something. They cannot make a Smash game. Whether it's a fighting game or a party game, you cannot make it because people don't know how to do technique and balancing like Nintendo does. Don't forget Namco Bandai, who made Smash along with Nintendo, has a history with Soul Calibur and with Tekken on how they are tweaking things like that. Licensing, just because everybody's here doesn't mean that Nintendo hasn't paid out some money to get these characters in the games. Yes, great that these companies happy to get their character into a game, but that's hard when you're working with Nintendo because the licensing thing and everything. I don't know why people won't mod PlayStation All Stars. I don't know why you won't mod some kind of Halo game or something and make it into a 3D fighter. It's just like, why can't you not mod other stuff? Why are you going back to old stuff? Nintendo has Ultimate right here. You're supposed to play that, learn it. You could go online. There's ways to have a better online play style with that. You can change up the items in the ways that you do stuff and just have fun with there. You have over close to 90 some characters to choose from. Who's trying to fight with Sonic? Go play Sonic R. Go play that fighting game with the Sonic characters if you want to play Knuckles and stuff. Like, you don't need to be playing Sonic you don't need to play Knuckles versus like Pikachu. Like, that doesn't make no sense.
What do people want, Ed?
The people want Waluigi.
Right, and I agree with Jacob that so many people don't pay attention to who's developing, who's publishing games. People just think that it's easier to do. You can't not make a Smash game if you can barely make a fighting game out of something go play WrestleMania back on PS2, the SmackDown games, and try
It's lame,
to
the SmackDown.
and literally try to customize your character and try to balance him out, and then try to do that for 90 some plus characters and see where you get to. That is draining.
All right, and so then let me ask you this then. Nintendo, like, people love Melee. Like, people feel like it's the best iteration of Smash. So I hear what you're saying about, not pirating off their stuff and whatnot. But why not, if you're Nintendo, then put Melee on your online subscription? Like, throw that in there. But hold on, but think about how much of a draw that would be for their pretty pathetic online subscription service. Throw that in there.
You're going to interfere with their current sales of their game. They don't want to go into the past.
But people are already like trying to play Melee. Those people aren't buying Brawl.
Well, that's fine.
No,
that's fine. That's fine if you want to play Melee and you got the original equipment, but you're supposed to play that game in its original intent. They have a new superior game that is still doing numbers that outdid Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah, but it's in such high demand still that people are constantly modding and shutting down. Why not lean into that as a company?
Because they choose to stay.
Bolster your subscriptions.
They choose to stay like that. Because the thing about it is that even if they did put it as a subscription, it's not going to raise up subscriptions. Why would you put $20 for this one game so that you could play online with other people? That doesn't make
people pay $20 to go into a fighting tournament.
To be fair, I don't think the people who play Melee would want to play Melee on Nintendo Switch Online service as it is right now.
Probably not.
And the other thing that I wanted to say about that was like, I mean, no, actually, that's really it. Is like I don't think that, and also I think that there's a case of the loud minority is outweighing the quiet majority. I think that this is just a very loud group of people, but in the grand scheme of things, they're a very small group of people.
Ultimate is still doing numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So why interfere with that by putting something that's old and kind of out of date on something that's like if I'm still making $60 off of this game and it's on the list every month or every week in Japan, why would I stop doing that to make $20 and then don't make no more money from that?
It works for Game Pass.
Yeah, why would Mario Kart not?
Yeah, it works for Game Pass. And guess how many old games are on Game Pass versus on what is new?
I'm just saying, Ed. All right, Greysun, final thoughts on this?
Yeah, I was also gonna bring up that maybe maybe Nintendo's planning on doing like a remaster. You never know, of Melee. I'm sure they wouldn't release it now since Ultimate is selling so well, but maybe they're planning on doing that in the future. And also for the whole mod thing, that could also interfere with their DLC plans because there is one more fighter, and if someone creates a mod for the character that they're planning on putting in the game, then that's gonna mess up everything. So
it's gonna be Knuckles. Watch.
It's fighter. I think there is a Knuckles like Mii fighter costume, if I'm not mistaken. So
that means nothing.
Well, yeah, we had a whole fight about this last week.
And a tail.
Well, thank you, everybody. That was an entertaining discussion and a great family news segment. So, Ed, I'm going to send it back over to you.
Okay. Because I'm sorry, everybody. I had to hop on my Twitter because I asked the question. If HBO Max came to Nintendo Switch, would you subscribe and would you use it when taking a bath or cooking or laying on the couch?
You didn't say that.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
I got to retweet this.
Do that there. I am getting some responses, though. I am actually getting some responses. So if you guys
sure you are, Ed.
If you guys want to check it out, you can find me at that retro code on Twitter and let me know. But let's get into Dark Mode, everybody. Alert! The Elite Bot agents are having a discussion on the recently released No More Heroes 3. Please be aware of spoilers. We are also having a discussion on action games and the intensity in games. Alert! Super Dark Mode is in effect now. Greysun, take it away.
So yeah, I haven't been playing. I finished No More Heroes 3. I reviewed it for Game Rant. I ended up giving it a 4 out of 5. But yeah, I don't know where to begin. There's so much to talk about, I feel like. But yeah, for those who never played No More Heroes before, it's a series directed by Goichi Suda, who goes by Suda51 over at Grasshopper Manufacturer. That's like their development team. And No More Heroes started off on the Wii, and then the sequel came out on the Wii as well. And then since then, we really haven't gotten a mainline entry, which was like 2010, I think. So there was like a spin-off game that released like 2 years ago, but it wasn't that great. And most fans kind of like, yeah, it's fine, but it's not like a proper game. But yeah, this is like, it's a long time coming. It's just like a hack and slash action series, and just like, it's probably one of the most ridiculous, insane, like absurd video games I've ever played. Just like I took so many screenshots while playing, because there's so many moments, like WTF moments, like every 2 seconds. You're like, what is going on right now? Who are these people? And I really like this new entry. I was actually pretty surprised by how the reviews panned out, because I think the average is around like 77 or 76 or something. I gave it like a 4 out of 5, so that's like an 80. But yeah, there was a lot of people that love this game. There's a lot of people that like really dislike this game, but I think it's great. Like, it really just like doubles down on all the wacky weirdness that Suda51 brings to the table. The combat's really good. There's some like repetitive parts towards the end where you're kind of doing the same things over and over again, but I think the combat is just so much fun and so refined in this game. Where just like, it doesn't matter if I'm doing these combat missions over and over again, I was still having like such a blast with them. And the presentation is really cool. The voice acting's great. Like, the story is insane and funny, and yeah, it's like, it's just crazy. And I really like the game. I don't know how much you've played of it, Ed.
So
have you started it?
I started. I am now on level 2, which is the ninth boss. I just got to him. Once again, the game, what Greysun say is bunkers. It is literally bunkers. It explains to you on how to save, and before he goes to save, because he has to go to the bathroom, he says, make sure that you take a bathroom break every time you go and save before you go to a boss or you do a big fight, because you might really lose your game. And he runs in and goes to the bathroom and uses it. There's a sushi place on the spaceship that you go to get food, and it was just like, what in the world? And the alien that's doing the sushi is dancing. He's dancing. That's like, I love making sushi, yum yum. And it's just like, what in the world is going on with this game? And it starts out crazy, because it starts very animated. Like, it's a very nice opening animated cutscene.
It's basically E.T., like the premise.
And then it gets into its wackiness about that, when you see everything kind of like transform and stuff. And it's kind of weird, because when you're watching the cutscene of this animated intro, they're building a rocket, and it's just like, the rocket is big than the trees that everybody is at. So why is no one paying attention to where this thing is at? Like, the federal agents that are looking for it, they come like real late, they come to kind of interfere in the cutscene. It's just like, you can see this big thing. Y'all should have interfered it. But this is Suda51. So therefore, of course, it's just wackiness. Like, no one is paying attention to it. And they're just destroying the city like it's no tomorrow. For what the trailer that you see on how the game opens up, when you see that E3, they have a little bit of bits and pieces there into it, and everything, but they added more to it. So it's just like, wow, I kind of like what they did with that. I gotta give it a 2 Suda51. The frame rate is perfect, because it's so fast and fluid. And if you play the original old games, I think they kind of felt like they were like 20, 25 frames per second. They weren't bad or anything, but this one feels like you're playing something very silky smooth. Like you are playing Bayonetta 2, or you are playing the turbo version of Devil May Cry. Like, it's buttery smooth with it. Checking the katana blade, of course, with the Joy-Cons, or see him doing this as an action. It's still in there. And now you finally get to hear from your cat, Jean, which is a man now, with a black male voice, and it's just like, wait, what is going on?
The series
with
is
this
ridiculous.
game?
Yeah.
It's literally bonkers. And No More Heroes 2 was the highlight of craziness, of insane. I feel like this one is going to take it a little bit further because meeting the bosses and how they're talking and everything, they do a little aliens reference in this game for the first level. So you get into this room and there's all these pod seeds that's there, and all of them that are open, and it's just like, this reminds me of a scene from a famous movie. They literally say that in the movie, and this little thing jumps out, and it's just like, hi, it's just like, he's like, oh, it's so cute, it's like, so come here so I could just see you. And Travis picks it up, and instead of the thing attacking you, it pops your head and eats your whole body to warp you into the battle that you're going to go to. So it's just like, what is this? Not like, you think it's going to attack Travis and like put something in his stomach or anything. No, it like goot, and the cat just, Gene, which is the cat, just like, huh? What's going on? It's just so funny on how they kind of, it feels like there's going to be pop culture references into this game. When you defeat I think Death Note or
The first boss?
Yes. When you destroy him, you take over the 10th place, and it's like the same rules coming in. What's funny though is that they put everybody as an action figure, and the box literally reminds you of a Amiibo figure if you look at it, and it's so cool on how they do it. And the main antagonist is called Jess Baptiste instead of just baptized. It's
I didn't catch that.
Yes, it's JESS. Instead of saying just baptized, it's Jesus. Yeah. It's just Baptiste. I was just like, oh my goodness! It like, I don't know if it has any other kind of religion effect to it. I still got to play more of it. But yeah, this game is wowing me with it. Anything else, Grayson, or do you, Jacob or David, have any questions about No More Heroes 3?
Do you feel
it's a lot, I know.
Do you feel like you have to play 1 and 2 in order to really enjoy 3?
Yeah, so people have asked me this before. I think the stories are so ridiculous. It's one of those things where you can jump in if you wanted to and have a lot of fun and just dive into all the zaniness. But I would recommend playing the 3 games in the series before diving in, because you do get the payoff for like, there are a lot of characters that pop up who I didn't remember. I'm like, who is this person again? And then they ended up being like an old boss that you killed who's like back from the grave or whatever. So there are a lot of like references to like previous games, and they break the wall a lot. Like they break the fourth wall, where they literally reference like, man, it's been 10 years since you got a mainline game. Like this game better sell so you can get another one. And the ending really like does a nice job of like setting up for future games too. So it just has a lot of references to like video games too and pop culture. Like Ed was saying, there's like a whole section dedicated to like Final Fantasy. There's like a very big Smash Brothers reference, like more than just a reference, like Netflix references. Like every time you beat a boss, so the series is always revolved around like, you're number 10 on this assassination list and you're trying to get to the top spot. So in the past, Travis has fought against like other mostly human, like assassins. God. But now he's just fighting against a whole squad of aliens who, like Ed was saying, they all kind of look like action figures in a sense, where they all have like, they're very tall, they have like big arms and like big wide tree trunk legs and stuff. One of my problems with this game though was like the bosses, like the boss fights themselves aren't as like memorable as like No More Heroes 2. Not just in the boss fights themselves, and like the music is just not as like, I kind of just like, you start fighting them and you're killing them like really quickly one after the other, and it doesn't have like that sense of progression. But man, it's still just such a really fun time. Like just the combat is just so refined, and it's not like complicated or like combo based like Bayonetta or you mentioned Devil May Cry, but it's just like it's just more satisfying. Where like every slice of the katana, you're feeling it. Like there's a whole bunch of particle effects and blood and like these like gooey substance popping out of the aliens you're fighting, and like if you're playing with the Joy-Cons, every time you're about to kill an enemy, it makes you press the right stick in a certain direction, or you can swing it, and that's like basically from the Wii days. So it's really satisfying to like swing your blade and the enemy's like neck gets cut off and like the blood's splurting out, and you can do wrestling moves, and it's all just very chaotic and fun. It's a really fun game.
So DCD202 in the chat is asking a question, and this might be hard to answer based off of what was just said, but he wants to know what kind of game it is. Can't even figure out from gameplay videos like what style of game this is.
So it's an action sword fighting game. You actually do your attacks with your sword. So you're swinging it around, and you can hit. It has a normal attack and a heavy attack. So you can lock on characters. So think of the Legend of Zelda.
You're locking on, you're strafing, you can block, and then you go in for the attack pretty much.
Let me rephrase that. The 3D Legend of Zeldas. I just like Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Breath of the Wild. When you're locking on them, you can move in this 3D space and attack them. It does have a dodge move, almost like Bayonetta. So if you dodge right, it slows down time. You can get back of them and like slice them up quickly and everything. And there are moments where time will slow, and you can hit like 45 hit combos, so just slice them and everything. And so while the thing is moving, their energy is going down like really quickly and stuff. Some bosses do have, I'm assuming, Greysun, since you play more, some bosses do have two forms. So when you beat them, they'll be like, this person dead, question mark, and it may go into the next thing that you might have to fight. But there might be some bosses that you only fight once, and this it. A lot of the bosses give this kind of monologue, but you still end up killing them and stuff. So it's kind of stylized. It has such a Tarantino kind of feel to it.
Oh yeah.
At the end,
Kill Bill, basically.
Yeah, but for the basic gameplay, you're running around swinging the sword. You can lock on them, or you can just fight in a regular 3D space and control your camera that way. Down to the nitty gritty is that. I mentioned the sushi stuff. You could do eat in or take out. So if you take out, you'll hold on to that item like it's a regular item that you buy for the shop. You can use it in battle, but you are vulnerable. So if you got a lot of people, you need help, and you're trying to eat some sushi, they have the right to attack you, and they can end up killing you with that. And the same thing with the bosses. So you can eat. Go ahead.
Something I was going to add before I forget, they added something to this game that's I think it's pretty cool. So every time you die, you're given a second chance to not a second chance. You get a roulette wheel, and there's different characters on it, and each character has a different meaning of what will happen to Travis. So if you roll a roulette and get like Gene, his cat, I think you actually get to come back to life during that battle instead of going back to like having to retry the whole fight. And there's like one, if you get like the main antagonist, you'll like start the next fight, but then you have like no battery. You start off with no battery, so you immediately have to charge up your sword when you start the fight. And there's some that raises your attack power too. So if you're someone who's like really struggling, you can get lucky, get that roulette, and come back really strong and probably beat the boss like without too much effort. And when you're not like doing the whole hack and slash like action thing, like when you're fighting bosses, you are like traveling this semi-open world, these open world areas, and you're like riding around with this motorcycle. And this is the part of the game that's like hit or miss, because the frame rate here is atrocious. Like the draw distance is bad. Like if you like boost with your motorcycle, everything like zooms by Travis, and like everything's just loading up as you're passing by. So it has that like very like factor in there. But if you're like a fan of the series, you're honestly probably going to be used to it, because the open worlds in the first game was just like that. And you're doing like weird side missions, like you're unplunging toilets, you're like mowing lawns, you're collecting garbage from alligators, you're like fighting alligators with like a tank. So you have that stuff that you have to do to make money to like raise his stats and stuff. But they're pretty fun. Like they kind of break up the boss fights when we just want to just mess around a little bit and get some money, and then you can go to the boss fight when you're ready. So it's like the game's almost like chapter based, where you're saving money for the boss fight, you do the boss fight, you come back to town, and you kind of make more money to get to the next assassination fight. So it's just like you're not fighting all the time, but that's like the best parts of the game, I think.
Yeah, No More Heroes 2, they did the same thing, but they changed it to like 8-bit video games. So you could do it almost like Tetris, or you could do like a rat catching game that's like
Balloon
almost like
fight
Marvel.
type of game, I think too.
Yeah. And it was really cool that they did that. Yeah, that's anything. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, can I jump in really quick? So I was just thinking about Nintendo's game release schedule for this year, where they released that nice graphic that had kind of the featured games for each month, and it was pretty clear that No More Heroes 3 was their big game for August. And Grayson, I'm just kind of curious how, having played it and reviewed it, do you feel like that lived up to that slot as sort of the Nintendo game for August?
I think it's a great game, but I just don't think it's gonna have that appeal to the people who are buying Animal Crossing and stuff like that. I just don't think it's just such a niche series. Like if I tell anyone on the street about that game, they're like, "I've never heard of that series ever." Mm-hmm. It's a Nintendo game. Like, are you sure? I'm like, "Yep, it's a M-rated Switch exclusive." But yeah, I don't know. I have a feeling it could potentially be the best-selling No More Heroes game. I would hope so, because I would love for this franchise to continue, even though I think there was like a news report that Suda51 said like this is the last game in the series, but I don't really believe that, because if you get to the ending of this game, there's stuff there. So that's all I'm going to say. But yeah, I don't know. I hope it's successful,
Yes. So speaking of action games, Jacob and David, you guys have been playing Metroid. You guys played Other M, which was developed from Team Ninja, which is a action company. If you look at some of their modern 3D games and some of their old games. How do you guys feel about action games in general? And do they make you feel intense? Do you like really get into them and be like, yeah, like it makes you feel powerful? David, I'm gonna go with you.
Yeah, it has to be done right, though, because some action games that are almost as somebody that grew up on arcades, you're probably not going to like this, but I don't like action games that are too much like arcade games. Mm-hmm. I like ones that have a little bit more story and progression to them. So a game like Metroid, what I really like is that you gain new abilities as you go through the game and even revisit old areas, and you feel more powerful. And for me, that adds sort of a narrative element that makes action games more engaging and interesting. But sometimes games that are just, it feels like without the story, it feels like I'm just playing a mechanic or a game mode rather than, something that's immersive. So that's kind of I'm a little bit picky about action games, I think.
Okay, what about you, Jacob?
I actually I have a similar taste as David in that action games aren't typically my go-to, because there's a very strange disconnect that happens when you're like really into it and then there's a cutscene, and the cutscene is basically like your character opening a door or having a single fight with I don't know, just like like extra parts of the fight, right? Like you were just fighting this boss, and then like switch to a cutscene, and y'all like clash weapons a couple times. And I'm always like, I want to do that. Let me do that. I don't want cutscenes. This is an action game. I want to be a part of the action. And so there's always this very strange disconnect for me in action games that makes them not so much as it's not appealing, just more that they're just less appealing. Like I'm not ever going to turn away from an action game. But I certainly won't choose an action game over like a strategy game where you have to think about what moves you're gonna do and have like it's almost more like a puzzle to the action versus just like hard fast combat.
Right, because and it's surprising that we're having this discussion, because last year our game of the year was Hyrule Warriors: Age of Calamity, which is pretty much an action game.
But it has a fantastic story.
Yes.
I know not everyone will agree, but I'm just going to say that.
Oh, go ahead, Jacob. You were going to say something.
I was going to say, I don't really... I mean, I know it is an action game, but it's a button masher action game.
Yeah.
Like anything... Like, it sounds like No More Heroes, there's like... You can't just sit there and wail. Like, you have to dodge. You have to take some things into account. Hyrule Warriors, like, the most you have to take into account is when it wants you to play rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah. I think it's the gameplay. I sometimes when you get into it, yes, it's not. That's not the genre of it, but like if the gameplay is just like I want to whip tail, because like I play Streets of Rage 4. I've been playing that game like crazy, and because it's got a combo system, I'm trying to connect all of these combos, and so I get stuck into be like it's past 3 hours and I have been doing the survival mode for like 10 times because I'm so into the action. It gets me round up and it gets me intense, and I think that's why when the conversation about Bayonetta 2 came, when that game was released on Wii U, if you guys didn't know, there was a discussion about sexism, and a lot of people, a lot of males who were getting the game didn't care about the sexism. They was like, we just kicked the angel 5 feet in the air and then just like twirled on his head while doing a good, like hitting it with bullets. And like we was talking about the zaniness and the power that Bayonetta was infecting on everybody. Nobody was thinking about sexism. The intensity came from, oh, we was able to dodge. We was doing this crazy thing. We were taking the whip and whipping these horses in the behind and then kicking them into like a pit and killing them. Like we was talking about the zany stuff and everything. And we didn't know where the sexism came at. We was all into the action. And we all felt that intensity. Me and you, David, we didn't experience the sexism. I'm not saying that. When we played Aliens team, fire team, we was into the shooting. Like we was just like, throw that, move here. What this? We was into it, and the action got us. It was like intense, and we would get like the big aliens walking around, and you were just like, oh, it's coming for me. Like we were working together, and we was so zoned into the action.
But I see. So for me, I guess I would put those in a different category because I feel like tactical first-person shooters or tactical third-person shooters to me feels very different because it connects back to that idea of strategy or being intentional as the main gameplay mechanic. In that game specifically, about collaborating with your fire team. But games that are more like traditional, like even as much as I loved it as a kid, like playing Contra now, like to me that it doesn't have the same appeal as it did when I was a kid. So I guess that's what I'm thinking more when I think like traditional arcade style action games.
Action. Okay. What about you, Greysun? How do you feel about action games and the intensity of them?
Yeah, I mean, I think that like action games are probably like my favorite genre, like third person action. I love stuff like Nier Automata, Astral Chain, Devil May Cry, Bayonetta. I love that stuff. I just love like, I don't know what it is. Even if the story is not that compelling, like I just love when an action game is just like, but it's a good action game when like every hit is satisfying. All the noises and the sound effects and like the music, plays a big role into why I like games like Devil May Cry and stuff. You're just like wailing on enemies, like you said, you're shooting them up in the air, you're kicking them, you're shooting them with your pistols, and you're springing them back down. It's like, and then you have like this awesome rock soundtrack in the back. It's just like such an epic feeling. And I think No More Heroes also does that well too. You're like, it's just like the battles are just like a frantic madhouse, and like so many icons are popping up and things are spinning and stuff. And it's just like, I don't know, it's just like that connect of the weapon and like the enemies you're facing is just, I don't know, just something so like invigorating, so like tactile. I don't know about that genre that I just love.
Before you go, David,
yeah.
Jacob, you and Grayson was talking about Dead Space and how the action in there fighting the enemies and stuff, it kind of gets intense and stuff. How did you feel about like, is that kind of action a little bit appealing to you at times?
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't consider that action. I guess I separate those two things, right? Mm-hmm. That's an intense moment, but then action is like the way that the game is played. That's how I consider action games. Because even like a game like Mario has like action in it, right?
Yes.
Like there's the intense moments where you might barely just make a jump or you're dodging Hammer Bros and stuff like that. But I kind of hold those things different. And David had mentioned it with Alien Fire Teams, and that it's a little bit different for him, it being a shooter, right? And that's the same way it is for me, because like I am a sucker for a good horde mode, which is very intense, very action heavy. But I don't consider like there's when I think action, it's only about how much damage can I rack up in a short amount of time and still be aware of like what's going on around me. Like Hades is an action game, and I really like Hades, but those types of games like Dead Space, like probably Alien Fireteams for me, there's so much more thought going on in my head of like what I need to be doing next and what I need to be paying attention to, versus an action game where it's like as long as I dodge at the right time and hit at the right time, I'm good to go.
Okay, David, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I mean, I agree with all of what you just said there, Jacob. And I mean, if we are defining action games much more broadly, then I would actually change my answer and say yes, I am a fan. I guess I'm picky about the ones that I like. But one thing that I do appreciate about the action genre, like across the board, is I feel like maybe more than other video game genres, it's easy to get in the zone, and you have like this experience where like you sort of merge with what's going on in the screen, and you just sort of like you stop thinking altogether and you're just reacting, and that is a really fun and unique experience offered by action games, and I do appreciate that when the game is right.
And Jacob, you may agree with this. When you're fighting a monster in Monster Hunter, maybe you too, Greysun. When you're fighting a monster in Monster Hunter and you're well prepared, you are into that fight.
Yeah.
And I guess it's just like, regardless of what weapon you choose, there's a tense moment when you're meeting them. Like Monster Hunter Rise, I love the cutscene, and I just like, ooh, I can't wait to just beat and well on you, and then I get smacked in, and I'm getting carried back to the camp. But I'm so into the intense battle. It's like it gets amazing, And yes, it's not an action game, but I think the action that you do in it is so like it grabs your attention, it pulls you in, and it gets intense the more the animals getting infuriated, the more intense the attacks and stuff. You get intense because you just be like, oh yeah, baby, I'm about to get you. And definitely when you're supposed to do that last hit and it does something crazy to you and you are on your last stride and it kills you. Oof. You like, and I think that's what some good action games and the intense feeling that you get. So one last thing before we get to playing with power, we're gonna go, everybody. What has been, regardless if it's an action game or not, what has been an intense moment for you in a game? Just one intense moment. David, I'm gonna start with you.
Yeah, I mean, if we're including Age of Calamity, in which I guess that really would fall into that category. I was so engrossed in that game, and the final few battles in that game are some of my most memorable video game experiences ever, and particularly, I guess it's long enough now I can talk about some spoilers. When you're in the final battle at Hyrule Castle and you think you've won the level, and then Ganon calls the Blood Moon, and every enemy that you've killed on the battlefield gets resurrected. It was just this jaw-dropping moment for me. So that's one that I really think about a lot and enjoy. Yeah.
I think I screamed, "What in the world?" I was upset with that, but I was put into it. Jacob, what is there an intense moment? Any game, any it could be action or not, an intense moment in gaming for you?
Yeah, I got one. I reference this one a lot, actually. I don't cry with games. Yomawari: The Long Night Collection has a moment in like the opening 5 seconds of it's like 2 games of just Yomawari, that it happened. I was doing a review for the game, so I was like sitting down for a long play. Within 5 seconds of starting the game, this moment happens, and I don't want to spoil it because it's it's intense for reasons. And I had to put the controller down and go do something else for a while because I was so shaken up by it, that it hit me. It hit me really hard. And if you've ever played Yomawari, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Because this is a moment that you do not forget in a video game.
Grayson, what has been a tense moment for you? Any action or any kind of game?
This is a hard one. I thought about like Sekiro a lot. That's a game I had a lot of like epic moments in because I'm not like a big Dark Souls fan, but that game like intrigued me because like it's Japanese setting and I like how it's like just like more of a simple combat system instead of like an RPG system. But man, like I mean I don't have like a specific moment, but like getting through many of the bosses in that game are like just like you're trying over and over for days and days trying to beat these bosses and you finally beat them and it's like oh my god, and then you realize the next one's even like harder and you're like well I'm gonna be stuck here for like 2 days now. But yeah, I mean I just games like that just have like a lot of cool moments. I just don't have a specific one. I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if anybody knows me, knows what game I'm about to come for, of course it's Igaruga. Doing the last fight, they take your weapons out and you cannot shoot back. And so while all of this stuff is coming to you, you have to dodge everything. All of these red and white bullets are coming in so many different ways. It gets maddening because if you lose all your men and you don't have no continues, the game is over and you have to start all the way from the beginning. And after playing that whole game by yourself, try to get through, if you could get to the last portion of the game and survive and beat it, you'd be like, oh yes. But it's so many bullets coming down. It's a crazy bullet hell section. I'm like, oh, I cannot do this. My hands get sweaty. And I would get into the TV and just be like, okay, and make sure that my eyes will follow my ship along with the bullets. I get into it, and it gets intense. But now that I beat the game so many times and got no unlimited continues, I don't care. But I played it for the first time. Woo, it's intense. So everybody, that has been our super doc mode. Thank you, Grayson, for that review discussion. Thank you, Jacob, and thank you, David, for that discussion. It's time to get with playing with power. Grayson, what are you playing with power besides No More Heroes 3?
Yeah, besides like No More Heroes 3, I haven't really been playing too much. On my Switch, I've pretty much been playing like Pokemon Unite a little bit here and there. I've pretty much dropped off of it. It gets kind of boring after a while, you know. But it's still, I think it's a really good free MOBA, you know, for someone who's like never played a MOBA before. And then I'm still trying to finish up Dodgeball Academia, which was like a little indie game that came out a few weeks ago, I think. And it's pretty much it's definitely inspired by like old school Pokemon, but you're pretty much battling in like these dodgeball fights with kids around the school and doing like cute little side quests, and the writing's really quirky and they have a lot of like references to video games. But it's a pretty solid like indie game. So if anyone's like looking for a quirky little sports RPG, I would totally recommend it. But yeah, besides that, like it's a Ghost of Tsushima, the new expansion just came out. I've been playing a lot of that. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
I'm waiting for the Black Friday sale about that for the DLC. Jacob, what have you been playing with power?
Yeah, so I've been playing Pokemon Unite. I've also started shiny hunting in Pokemon, and I also in my like free time I've started I'm doing a shiny lock of Pokemon Sun because I never beat Pokemon Sun and I'm insane, so I wanted to do a shiny lock. So I'm currently hard resetting on Rowlet to get a shiny Rowlet. I also started Baldo this weekend.
Oh boy.
I had such high hopes for this game. It looked like it was going to be so cool. And frankly, it's just a really big disappointment. The best way I can think to explain it is that the game doesn't respect your time as a player, and not in like any way of like it's an RPG kind of like ish, but like there's a little bit of RPG mechanics, but there's also it's more akin to like Legend of Zelda, which Dan from Pow Block kind of agreed or told me about that, and I agree with him. But what I mean is, so in this game, you die a lot. And it's you the how do I explain this? Because so you die a lot, and everything kills you in this game. You walk so like there's stairs, right? It's an adventure game. You walk off stairs, you just fall to the floor, and that's you just keep going about you're dead. You fell off 3 flights of stairs, you're dead. You got hit by an enemy, you're dead. You picked up a pot wrong, you're dead. And it plays this really annoyingly slow game over animation, and the game has a terrible frame rate. So you go to like click, okay, continue, and because it has such a bad frame rate, sometimes the frames just eat your input, and you're sitting there trying to continue, and then finally it's like, okay, great, continue. The reason this is so annoying and such a problem is because there is no penalty to death. You die in a room, and if you die in that room, you just spawn back at the beginning of the room. Sometimes enemies that you have killed in that room are dead again still. Like there's no penalty whatsoever. Which is cool. Like Celeste does a great job of that, because you start back in the same screen that you're on and you try it again. But this game tells you nothing about what can kill you or what does anything. And I was like, I played through the first like dungeon, and I reached a point where I was like, whoops, got hit and and it has hearts. It's not like you're a one-hit kill all the time. There's life totals in this game, but it still just kills you all the time. And so I would happen to take 2 damage, which it's so frustrating, because like I would get hit by an enemy and I would die with my 3 hearts. The next time I got hit, I'd only take 2 points of damage. No clue why, not sure what happened there, but I would be like, oh, I don't have full health. Guess I'll just go kill myself real quick, and then like start over. Like it does nothing.
Goodness, that's broken.
It does nothing to respect your time, and it's like it's supposed to be like a puzzle adventure game, but they don't. There was this one challenge, and I don't even feel bad about spoiling this. There was this one like puzzle where there were 3 bells, and you had to ring them. I finally figured out that you had to ring them in like audio order, like low, medium, high, but it does nothing to tell you this. The first thing I tried was 23 is number 1, because it's inspired by Legend of Zelda, so I was like, oh, that's probably it. And I just started hitting the bells back like in random orders. There was no sign at all. It's just so bad. And like it's got sorry, I'm taking so long, but this game has really irked me because I wanted it to be good. It's got weird glitches too. Like sometimes there's like a text bubble, and sometimes the text bubble is like 1 line big, but the text is like 4 lines. So it's just off of the text bubble. And then also Dan had a glitch where he pushed a block out of the way and then died, but the game doesn't care that you died, and so the block was still out of the way, so he couldn't get back. Because now the block wasn't there to like fall on, so when he he just died again. Like it really does a bad job of respecting the player, and I think it could be patched out. I'm kind of like sitting on it and hoping to hear from the developer that they're patching it and fixing these problems, because like the concept of it seems like, I mean the art style is great, but the concept of the game seems pretty cool. It's very tropey. It literally talks about how you're the chosen hero from the get-go. Like, hey, you're the child born to save the world. So it's really tropey, but like these problems, man, it's so bad. And I tried to like it, because when I first started, Dan popped in my stream and I was talking about like, well, it's got glitches, but that's okay. Glitches are okay. We can work around these. And he was just like, yep, yeah, because he was further than me and was just waiting for me to get to that point. Yeah, it's rough. It's rough.
Yeah, it's on my way to this seat after hearing you guys. I'm just like, yeah, I mean, too. Away from this.
Dan, DCD in the chat put it best. I'd rather put out a campfire with my face than play this game.
It's on Apple Arcade, right?
Yes, yeah. If you can get it for free, it might be okay. It might be fun to play.
Or $5.
$25 for this game, yeah, or $5. $25 for this thing though. It's unfortunately hot garbage.
Ooh,
that could be fixed. It could be patched out and be okay, but like as is. Go ahead. What's up, Grayson?
What
one more question. Sorry. Do you think it'll be good for a mobile device, or do you think it's better to play like on a? If I have to play it one day, or if I decide to play it,
if I have to, if I'm forced at gunpoint, it could be. I don't know. That's it. Maybe, but so. Part of the problem with dying is that there's a lot of like tight ledges that you have to walk across, that if like on the controller, if you like happen to like unrest from the direction you're going, you just walk off. So like I could imagine having your finger being like whoops and then dead. And so maybe not. I'm not actually sure.
Good to know.
All right. David, did I?
You haven't got me yet. I'm ready.
Okay. David, what have you been playing with Power?
So I am on the final boss fight, Ridley, in Metroid Samus Returns, and having a heck of a time with that. But that's okay. I enjoy the challenge of Metroid bosses. That you definitely have to earn your victories on those and practice up. So I'm doing that. I'm still playing through Plague Tale Innocence and really enjoying that. And then, of course, I wrote a review for Aliens Fireteam Elite for our BossRush.net website, and can't say enough good things about that game. The short of it is, it does for fans of the Aliens film what Alien Isolation did for fans of the original film, and I think that the Aliens franchise now has two great styles of games: survival horror and tactical shooters, in the same way that franchises like Zelda or Metroid have 2D and 3D versions of their game. And I hope that they continue to produce both types of game. So that's my spiel about that, about what I've been playing.
Okay. So with me, like I mentioned, No More Heroes 3, WarioWare Get It Together demo, I finally played that. It's kind of quirky. I got to learn it a little bit because I'm just like, what am I supposed to do in this game? What is this mini game? Getting confused. Like I mentioned, Streets of Rage 4, I've been playing the survival DLC. Just, man, that thing gets me like hooked and everything. Picked up a game called Super Epic, the Entertainment War, and it's a Metroidvania where you're playing a raccoon on a llama. And what happened is that what the questions?
Sorry, no, it's okay.
Lots, but keep going.
And so what happens is these pigs who own a corporation, and they have taken over the video game industry. So they have destroyed all the competition, and what they do is like their games are so addictive because they got all these they monetized it in this microtransactions, and it wraps you in. The raccoon though is like he becomes one of these fighters where he plays all these classic old video games, and so he goes into the corporation, and the corporation is designed in a Metroid Castlevania kind of style. If you see on Twitter, I posted one where for a boss fight, which is the monetization Dracula.
Oh my god, this is fantastic commentary.
It's on Nintendo Switch, is on the deal, so I think it's like about $5 or $6 or something.
I'm gonna have to check this out, Ed.
It has that. If anyone remember K's story back on the PC in the Smash days in the early, it has that sprite kind of basic thing. You could beat people with lamps, with plungers, with guitars and stuff, and they all have different stats and ranges and everything, but you can also upgrade them and everything, and you'll run into other pigs in the game that can help you outdo it, so you get new weapons and you'll get new items, and sometimes you'll run into random things, and it's actually an item that will help another character in a side quest. There's an alligator that's a chef that you could fight and everything. Like, it's bonkers, but it's so much fun. But
sounds like No More Heroes.
I was gonna say this.
I really want to know what the random things are, like, for this game to have random things.
You can find like seaweed, the USB things that you put in, like you could take those and they do something. You hit you got to get a code for the set of room and everything. I got to still find this code, but you hit this empty pot plant and you have to hit it into the basketball court that you're on.
Of course.
And every time you hit it in, it gives you 2 points. And so it's like a password kind of thing. So you got to figure that out, which I still got to figure. It is bonkers. Oh, the vampire, the section is they do a play on Castlevania Symphony of the Night when you do the first time you're fighting Dracula and you're that you're that Belmont. It's not Simon Belmont, it's a different one. And he was just like, what are animals? Animals are just distractions of, like when he did the like humans are nothing but they got that line in it, but he'd be like, what is an animal? And it is so funny. And I'm just like, did they? And the raccoon just like, this sounds very familiar. Oh well, fight. And it's so good. It got good controls and everything. So if you guys want to check it out, it's called Super Epic: The Entertainment War, and it's so funny and buggers. And not just having on the follow on it, seeing this game and then reading the description to be like, what is this? It came out in 2019. I don't know how I missed this at all. So yeah, everybody, that has been Playing with Power. Thank you once again, Greysun, for joining us. Go ahead and plug yourself real quick. Where can people find you?
Yeah, sure. You can find my writing over at Game Rant, and then you can find me on Twitter at Greysun Morales.
All right, Jacob, where can we find you?
You can find me everywhere on the internet at Galutrad, Galutrad.
David, where can we find you?
Find me at David Lasby on Twitter, and also check out my articles on bossrush.net and zeldadungeon.net.
Yeah, and you guys can find me on Twitter at ThatVertical and other places on the internet. With that, everybody, have a great week, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time on Nintendo Pow Block. Bye, everybody. Woohoo!
Bye-bye.
Bye.